Hey, Mr. Fox. My name is Andrew Piburn, and today I will be doing my TED Talk on why the dangers of violent video games. So, it has kind of been shown and proven by both in the laboratory in studies and also in real life that by playing a violent video game, it actually increases a person's aggressive thoughts, behavior, and their feelings. And this was proven by the American Psychological Associations, and this was also put into their journal of personality and social psychology. And pretty much what they made their assumption on was that your moral character is built from your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior. And what the violent video games affect are these three things. So basically, it was saying that when you play a violent video game, you're not just affecting these three individual things altogether, but in more of a sense that you're actually affecting the person you are. So it's actually affecting you in a negative way because it's affecting your whole person just based because of your thoughts and what you think, how you act, and your behavior and how you feel towards certain emotions. Like, for example, if a person plays Call of Duty, when they actually see something, it could trigger like a response that they have to be aggressive and violent with some situation. Um, and it also has been proven that violent video games, they actually can be more harmful to a person than television programs that have violence in them or actual violent movies. And researchers actually believe the way this is because when you're in a violent video game, it's actually more interactive with the individual and they're actually performing the task they need to. So when it comes to a movie, for example, a person just watches it. Like the character could be violent towards his wife or spouse. They could be violence caused by drugs and gangs, or even just could be a high school student getting in fights and they always respond with anger. But they actually say that the reason that the video games are more harmful is because when a person does each one of those events in the game, they are actually doing it, like virtually. They are controlling what they are doing through the controller into the game. They're not just watching it, they're actually partaking in the event that is happening. And this is becoming a huge problem because most teenagers actually spend about 7 hours or more in a week playing a video game that has some sort of violence in it. I mean, violence can occur in like Call of Duty, Halo, I mean, pretty much your average games, Gears of War. And what some people may believe that is these violent video games can contribute to school fights, failing grades, and some may even go as far as violent video games contributed to why such school shootings have happened. Like the most serious one probably would be the Columbine high school shooting. Um, and what people have researched was that the two teenage shooters, they actually made a website with a copy of their own version of the video game Doom. And for those of you who don't know Doom, it's pretty much highly trained soldiers go to this world and they pretty much have military training, and their primary goal is to kill everything, no matter what, civilian, enemy. Their objective in their head is to just kill, and that's all they've been trained for. And it actually shows that these two teenage shooters created their own version of Doom, and they actually videotaped themselves killing fake innocent people. And what's actually really sad about this is the more they created these types of videos, the more real it felt for them. And eventually, a year later, the Columbine shooting took place, and their videotape recording became part of history and took place in real life. And not only did they dress like the characters, have weapons like the characters, but their main thought was to kill. They actually killed 16 people, including staff and fellow students, and severely wounded 23 more before they were eventually gunned down. So, also along with this, in a recent study, 2010 or not 2000, excuse me, 210 students were allowed to play two types of games. One was a very violent video game that had lots of gore, action, and lots of violence in it. And the other was a non so violent game, kind of like your average Pac-Man. I mean, you just gobble the little things up. And so, what researchers and scientists actually started noticing was after a short period of time, the people who played the violent video game were prone and more often bullying another person in the group for a longer period of time than the people who play the non-violent video game were. And I found this kind of surprising because it didn't even take that long that it started to trigger a response to them. I mean, it's like what they were doing started to take over their body pretty much. The more prone they were to seeing violence in the game, they actually started putting that violence out in real life in the study. And so pretty much what I think needs to happen is that the game industries, there needs to be a kind of a higher set standard when it comes to what they're creating. And they need to be monitored more closely because people who play these kinds of games, they can get access to them anywhere. I mean, mentally ill people could be playing this game, and that could be totally irresponsible of game industries because this mentally ill person could take it way too far and put it into real life, like the Columbine shooting. But on top of that, it's that there is a certain like relationship between violent video games and shootings and just violence in general. I mean, I'm not saying that if you play a violent video game, you're gonna go beat somebody up or anything, but what I'm saying is that the people who do play these types of games, they're more likely and tend to often have more aggressive behavior and eventually be a part of a violent situation. I mean, it's like studies shown that 83% actually commit in a violent situation or have an aggressive behavior that would lead to some serious consequence. And so I think that game industries need to just take violence out of the games in general, and hopefully we would see a decrease in the number of teenagers actually being a part of violent situations. And that's what I think, and that's what I stand by. Thank you.